a young girl disappeared on her way to work. Witnesses heard her screams and saw two unknown people getting into her car. The next day, the police find her car burned out, but the girl herself is nowhere to be found. After that, the girl turned to the detectives and said that she had received a vision of the place where the victim was now located. Within a few hours, she actually found her body in a deserted area outside the city. In this video, we will tell you the story of Melanie Uribe and try to figure out whether a psychic really solved this case. It is known that in the investigation of some cases, the police involve psychics and clairvoyants to provide assistance. In most cases, psychics provide false information, which only hinders the investigation. This article will discuss a unique case in which the body of a missing woman was discovered thanks to visions that turned out to be true. This is the story of one woman named Etta Smith, who never considered herself a psychic, but eventually helped the police. Melanie Uribe was born on September 9, 1948. She raised her 8-year-old son alone and worked as a nurse at Pacoima Hospital in Burbank, California. On December 15, 1980, Melanie disappeared on her way to work. Hospital management tried to call her on her home phone, but no one answered. The police were called. Melanie was a very responsible and punctual woman, so not showing up for her shift was something out of the ordinary for her. The neighbor Melanie shared an apartment with told police she hadn't seen her since she left for work. The woman was last seen wearing a white uniform, leather jacket, and brown sweater. The next morning, December 16, 1980, police discovered Melanie's abandoned pickup truck. The woman was not there. Police searched the area within a 2-kilometer radius, but found nothing. They turned to the media to distribute information and photos of Melanie Uribe. Witnesses soon came forward and said they saw 3 men jump into the trunk of Melanie's car. The next day, a 32-year-old Lockheed Aerospace employee named Etta Smith heard a news report announcing the disappearance of Melanie Uribe. The presenters described how police found an abandoned car and searched the area, including nearby houses. Suddenly Etta heard a voice. She is not in the house. And as soon as she thought about it, a clear picture of the area where Melanie was located appeared in her head. In her vision, Etta saw a canyon and a winding road with bushes and hills in the background. Etta never considered herself a psychic. She was afraid that she was going crazy, but what she just saw in her head was very clear and seemed true. In the end, Etta decided to go to the police and tell her about her vision. At work, she said that she didn't care whether they thought she was crazy or not. She went to the police station and said that she had a vision about where the missing woman was. She described the place in great detail. Etta was able to pinpoint a point on the map, a remote part of the San Fernando Valley, Lopez Canyon. Of course, the police were skeptical about the words of this strange woman. Something inside me told me that they wouldn't believe me. I didn't know whether the missing person was alive or not. I felt like she was there, that they had to get to her immediately. I kept seeing that picture over and over again. So I decided to go to the canyon myself, Etta said, taking her children, ages 9 and 10, and her 20-year-old niece. Etta went to the place from her vision. As she approached the canyon, she noticed fresh car tracks. Something told her to stop the car. She got out of the van and walked closer to look at the tiger tracks. Suddenly she felt that Melanie was giving her a sign that she was on the right path. Etta moved on because she felt something pulling her in that direction. That's when Etta's daughter screamed that she saw something in the bushes. They called the police, who quickly arrived at the scene. Melanie Uribe has been found. She died from multiple blunt force injuries. The police became interested in Etta Smith. How did she know where Melanie was? Her description was too accurate, and the fact that she found a body before the police was suspicious. There was nothing printed in the newspapers that indicated any evidence the police had or any suspects they might be looking for. That evening, Etta was called to the police station. The investigation had many questions for her. She seemed to know too much about the crime, as if she were his performer or accomplice. Etta was interrogated at the police station for 10 hours straight. She could not explain to investigators how she got this vision, but she denied any involvement. According to her, on the evening of Melanie's disappearance, she was at home all day, and her children were visiting relatives. There were no witnesses to this. The police then asked Etta to take 2 lie detector tests, both of which she passed. Detectives still believed that she had managed to fool the polygraph. They specifically told Etta that she had failed the test in hopes that she would confess. Etta was adamant. Detectives then registered her as a possible accomplice in crime and placed Etta in pretrial detention for 4 days. Luckily for her, a witness came forward and gave important testimony. The man said he heard one of his acquaintances boast that he and his friends got away with this crime, and a woman would be sent to prison in their place. This man was arrested, and during interrogation, he turned in his accomplices. The real killers were local residents, a 17-year-old teenager, whose name was not disclosed due to his age, 21-year-old Spencer Nelson, and 20-year-old Louis Carnell Morgan. As the witness described, the 3 men jumped into Melanie Uribe's truck while she was standing at a traffic light and forced her to drive 20 kilometers away towards the canyon. They were sentenced to life imprisonment. Etta Smith was released from prison. The police established that she had nothing to do with the criminals, although they could not rationally explain how they knew the whereabouts of the girl. Etta filed a wrongful arrest lawsuit against the police department. She sought $750,000 in damages. Detectives working on the Melanie Uribe case believed that Etta simply wanted to become famous. Perhaps she overheard one of the participants in the crime talking about what he had done. Etta insisted that she could not meet the killers, much less overhear anything, since she lived with them in different cities. As a result, the court awarded Etta Smith $24,000. Etta said that although she considers herself a very sensitive person, she is not a psychic. She has never had a vision before or after the Melanie Uribe case, and it does not appear that she ever tried to use her powers for profit. Many years later, people from Hollywood got the idea to make a film or TV series based on this story, putting the character of Etta in the main role. But this idea has not yet been implemented, and perhaps never will be. Was Etta Smith really able to find Melanie's body through psychic vision? Previously, cases of a psychic contacting the police were quite common. Moreover, sometimes superstitious police officers themselves turn to them for help. But in the vast majority of cases, they give the police absolutely useless and inaccurate data that represents nothing but their own guesses. The case of Etta Smith stands out from the crowd because the woman actually found the victim's body without any outside help. Does this prove that psychics exist? Or is this one of those rare cases where the guess turns out to be accurate? It can be assumed that the neighborhood knew this well and built a logical chain. Several unknown people climb into the woman's car and then drive off with her. If they intend to take her to a quiet place and kill her without unnecessary witnesses, a canyon could be one of the suitable locations. It is possible that Etta bet on this version and turned out to be right. But why does she need all this? She did not ask for any money for help. She sued the police 6 years later. Maybe she wanted fame and got it. The woman was interviewed. Newspapers wrote about her. It is possible that all this really was for the sake of attention.